This is Coda Radio, episode 572 for May 28th, 2024. Hey friend, welcome in to Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly talk show, taking a pragmatic look at the art and the business of software development and the world of technology. My name is Chris, and joining us over there quickly opening the dock, it's our host, Mr. Dominic. Hello, Mike.
I can confirm the dock is open, the dock is live.
We are Gopher Podcast. You know, we probably should have set up a meeting to talk about the podcast because according to Microsoft, U.S. office workers are spending 300% more time in meetings compared to 2020.
That's so interesting.
I guess maybe they look at that as market to snap up for Teams, right? That's just great for Teams. But I got a theory. Okay, here's my theory. Tell me what you think. Because I think this Microsoft study, well, it's probably true. I do know many people, and I'm not joking. Their like full-time job is meetings. That's what they pretty much do.
Yep.
Almost entirely. And as somebody who has participated in some events planning and other things where like, you know, or travel where I've had to work with a group, I've noticed, too, there are some companies that have extremely heavy meeting cultures, you know, and then those people that enjoy that kind of also enjoy meetings, and so they just kind of love to hang out during a meeting. But here's my theory. So this data it's a 300% increase since 2020. Well, work from home has exploded since 2020. And if everybody's in the office, you probably had a lot more of those rando, quote-unquote, water cooler interactions. Or, you know, somebody swings by your cube /office /whatever. Or you go out to lunch and you chat about things, right? Like just there was a lot more of that kind of instantaneous two-way conversation stuff. Or maybe you pop quickly into a meeting, sit down and pop out and never even shows up as an invite. But now that people are in different locations just to sync on time, I think people are leaning a lot more on meeting invites. And so we're just having a lot more quote-unquote official meetings now because people aren't in the same building. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's true. And I also think maybe a small but probably not insignificant factor could be managers who are used to kind of butts and seats, using scheduled meetings as a way to kind of keep tabs on folks.
I think daily meetings, too, are a lot more common these days. And so if you went in 2020 had a meeting a couple of times a week, to now you have one every single day. That's a pretty big increase.
Oh, we do a daily stand-up at TMB, but we've been definitely keeping it shorter than we used to. But yeah, I guess it's a bad example because we were working remote for a few years before COVID. So
it's a hard balance, right? Because yeah. I am deeply anti-meeting, deeply anti-meeting. But I have to acknowledge that there are clear benefits to the team getting together from time to time. Syncing up, asking questions. Hey, this is where we're thinking about going. Get everybody kind of on the same page. Like that is so clearly valuable. It's not something I have an opportunity to do very much, but there have been times. Even as somebody who is deeply anti-meeting, I do have to acknowledge their usefulness. But a 300% increase, not only does that feel accurate, but it feels smothering. Like how you get anything else done? When's the actual work happen?
Could it be though that this is something that's going to correct itself as these companies and these managers get more used to kind of asynchronous working? It's a big shift of mind.
What if? Okay, now, I'm not saying this is it, but just what if?
Fry your bacon.
What if it's not until we're all on these, crazy face computers hooked up to some sort of supercomputer tracking us, but we're virtually in the same room together? Because the one thing I hear over and over again from folks that do those VR meetings is how freaking useful it is to have people next to you, to hear the voices come from different angles, be able to have little side conversations by just moving somewhere else in the room. Like, people find that today, with the crappy tech that we have, quote unquote crappy, useful already. I don't think the way to solve this is to have everybody come into the office. In fact, I think we should consider technologies that enable us to work together like we're in the office without having to be in the office, because then you can hire from anywhere and you can work from anywhere. And I'm a huge proponent of that. So if that means we got to have face computers, then maybe everybody just ought to suck it up and put a face computer on their dumb face, because it means work from anywhere, people. Okay, that's not. I don't co-sign that. I'm not 100% saying that's what I think, but I'm putting it out there.
I think you're onto something, right? I'm not sure if it's the face computers, because I'm still skeptical for use cases outside of gaming. But, you know, I can tell you just from my experience, and probably a super relevant use case for our listeners, just like the what do you call that? Like the word escapes, pair programming abilities in VS Code now and in the some other IDs like JetBrains, etc. really allow a replication of that sitting next to somebody and, like, you know, working out a problem you have with them and, you know, just figuring something out, right? I forgot what GitHub, what do they call it? Code spaces or something?
Probably.
Where it's just an IDE that can execute code in the browser and you can have multiple people edit on it. It's super, super great for that kind of thing. So it is broadly a tooling problem. You know, and as Slack, and I don't know if you saw this, Chris, Slack is now ingesting all of your information to feed the Salesforce's machine learning efforts. So.
Yeah, isn't that great? And it's opt out, so it's automatically on by default, which is fantastic because then they can get as much data as possible.
Right. It's also the old school version of opt out where you have to, like, send them an email. It has to be from the right email address on your admin. You have to get an acknowledgement.
Yeah, I'm sure they've meant to add a checkbox, but they just haven't gotten to it yet. You know, moving real quick.
Listen. Divs with checkboxes in them are notoriously hard to implement.
Plus, I actually find that as a cloud provider that deals in extremely sensitive information and confidential communications for massive corporations, I usually find that just playing fast and loose with their data is a great decision that doesn't have any kind of consequences long-term and no second-order effects at all, so they should just go ahead and do it.
Also, like, are they scanning documents that might be put in Slack, such as PDFs?
I mean, I would be. Every image, dude, getting everything I could out of that.
Well, it's pretty bad because some of those documents are, like, NDA design specifications or, like...
Yeah, but Mike, you're not thinking about how efficient they're going to make it when you can ask Slack in a conversational chat tone about another chat you had with a real person or perhaps a bot, you don't know. But, you know, you'll be able to ask it. And that's going to be, you know, you're going to 100x, dude. You're going to 100x when you can do that.
And what else is going to be super efficient for lawyers is when the Slack bot or AI, whatever it's going to be, gets confused and, I don't know, tells someone who's not supposed to know some confidential HR information about another employee. That's going to be real good.
Yeah. Oh, man. You know what's going to happen, too, is you're going to see that story that, like, it produced something that is like a schematic or a PDF, some legalese from another company that's under NDA.
I mean, I can think of the nightmare scenario. You've made a terrible hire, a young person, probably a man, right, who has taken an interest in, I don't know, one of your female staff and tricks the bot into telling him her personal information, such as telephone number or address. That is, of course, in your...
Oh, man.
Especially if your Slack is connected to your OneDrive or your Google Drive, which is probably where all that information lives. Great. Love it.
Man.
Opt out.
This is brilliant. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Yeah. But, you know, we're going to do it safely and responsibly. So...
If only we could assemble, if you will, a team, you know, like the Avengers. But who could lead? Who has the credibility and, frankly, handsomeness of a Captain America and could garner the trust and approbation of all Americans? What person could do this?
Clearly, there's only one person.
I can think of only one candidate.
Who could it be? Yeah, who could it be? Stay tuned and find out. Coder.show/membership. Head on over there and use the promo code Darth Jar Jar. You'll take $1 a month off your membership for a year and contribute to the show directly. That's for existing members, new members, reactivating. There are 3 redemptions left. It's getting close. Thank you, everybody who signed up. We had a great showing last week. Alex Gates, the podcasting 2.0 consultant, became a Coder QA member. Derek, the open source accountant, signed up for a Coder membership and already has an Ultimate Jupyter Signal membership. I'm going to attempt to get these names right. Rahim signed up, Aman, and Jargush signed up. I probably got those wrong, guys, but I really honestly gave it my best. Do let me know, though. I'd like to be correct. Nicholas and Rex also signed up. So we had 7 new members became Coder QA crew members this last week. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the show. It's ad-free. So I'll just take this moment and say thank you. It's pretty awesome. You know, the winds of advertising shift. They're cyclical. We always hope they'll shift back. But it's awesome to keep going and do something that we're obviously passionate about that's really kind of now become part of our lives. You know, you do a show long enough. I've been doing the show long enough. I've got some of my kids. You know what I mean? It really is special. And it's something that we're really committed to, and we really appreciate your support. If you'd like to support the show and claim the Darth Jar Jar promo code, there's 3 left. Did you guys slip? Hey, did you slip a couple more in, or is this always what? Huh? Uh-huh. Yeah, okay, well, it's Darth Jar Jar. 3 more redemptions left. I guess we're going to go out in style with May. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the show at coder.show/membership.
Before we reveal who our Captain America of the tech world is going to be, .NET developers, you guys are still doing well, huh? Congratulations. It's nice. I've done more than my share of .NET, and I actually have to do .NET today. So, yay! It's not bad, actually. I just wish I was using C# 13. Mostly because of the params modifier, because anything that makes it easier for me to work with collections in an incredibly lazy way is something that I want. For maybe our newer listeners or more junior devs, collections are like arrays, dictionaries, right? Literally collections. So think sets of things. I'm not going to go into detail on that because it's very inside baseball about how that works in .NET. But if you are a .NET developer, I bet you know. More string escaping. Good if you're working on low-level stuff, which surprisingly is very viable in C#. Because a lot of times you have to do crazy escape sequences for like reading raw data off of some crazy-ass proprietary board that someone's using. I'm not thinking of a specific case that I can't say. Threading stuff, lots of improvements to the lock object, which is, again, locks a thread, right? Better isolation to avoid thread collisions. Little bit of support, they say, to avoid race conditions. I'll take them at their word for it. My opinion on that is threading is always complicated. It's a challenge, right? Multi-threaded is tough, especially if you're manually managing threads. That is why Snow Leopard was the best macOS release, because it did indeed introduce Grand Central Dispatch and blocks, so you could do better threading via NSThread. I will always find a way to say C# is better. Objective-C is better.
Well done. And you got Snow Leopard in there.
And I got Snow Leopard in there. So they also released, I buried this one because I know it's their top thing. I got a couple emails about it. ML.net. Just put ML on it. The tin will look so much shinier. Okay, who cares? I don't think a lot of people are doing machine learning in anything that's not like C++ or Python. So
yeah, but you got to put a little ML in it.
Well, it's like salt. You got to put a little bit.
It just doesn't taste the same. Yeah, it
right. And not as addictive. So,
speaking of salt, you can put a little salt on your pizza that you put glue on. So the Google Answers has rolled out their AI-powered answers, and their $60 million deal with Reddit is clearly in effect. And you get all kinds of crazy stuff. We were sharing some of the wilder ones, including Google Answers telling somebody that if they want the cheese to stick to their pizza a little better, put glue on the pizza. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of all kinds of crazy things.
So we have to apologize to all the people who've been telling us that AI is going to destroy humanity. I think this is not a mistake. This is an opening salvo. This is the shot right across the bow. Because, people used to eat Tide Pods. Someone is going to do this.
It's remarkable that this is their third major AI product rollout that is blown up in their face.
We don't talk about Bard, Chris. We don't talk about Bard.
Yeah, we don't. And it's such a hilarious and Google chain of events that have brought us here, right? Because there's a whole industry out there that optimized all for SEO to get their crap in front of Google. So then people had to start adding like Reddit to their search queries to get like results they could actually use. So then Google goes and does a big old deal with Reddit.
Insane deal.
And prioritizes their data and trains into it immediately, apparently, just about. And then Google's AI starts spitting out Reddit posts as real answers.
So, okay. I know for a fact there are some people at Google who listen to this show. Have you guys ever seen when we used to use our subreddit? What that quickly turned into? Or, I don't know. How about r/Linux? I'm just... Yeah. If you're looking for authoritative information and you go, and what, like, really, Reddit?
Maybe this beautifully demonstrates that even one of the most capable companies in this field really cannot dress this pig up.
No.
It is an LLM. It is not AI. It is really good at predicting what word should come after one other. But it is not intelligent. And this shows us because a human immediately can sift through, generally, all of those comments, determine the signal, and grok the answer they want. And that's demonstrated out by just how many people add Reddit now to the Google search. Like, that's just, the market has proven that out. And human beings can instinctively, with very little effort, typically sift through the garbage and get the real answer. But Google's AI cannot, because it is not artificial intelligence. It's an LLM that's trying to just give you the most statistically likely words. And it's proving it to it at scale. This whole thing, and I'm really falling down that it's becoming a giant bubble rabbit hole now, I have to say, because, you'll just look at the money that's being spent here. Like, NVIDIA's stock pumps after hours more than most companies' entire market share now. It's bananas where we're at. And it's all this theoretical demand for a product that's not very good. And if Google can't get it right, well, they're either incredibly dysfunctional or it's just not a very good product. At least not yet. I mean, do you think I'm going too far with this? But to me, this seems like a beautiful demonstration of how this is not intelligent at all. It's just predictive. And it can't do something that, humans can do fairly quickly.
I don't think it's super good. I mean, I want to think this is going to go somewhere. The only reason I'm not jumping on with you with that just yet is Google just seems to be Wile E. Coyote blowing themselves up left and right recently. And is this maybe a Google problem more than a...
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. It's like it's not a solid data point because it is Google, right?
Right.
More data needed, I think.
Like, I weirdly kind of think if you want to look for who's going to, of the big companies that's going to be able to do this, I kind of feel it's Microsoft. Because Google, if Google had stuck with Waze, wow, I'm getting all my, if you're playing bingo or, or taking shots, you're going to pass out soon. Slack wouldn't exist, right? It's just, Google loves to screw things up. And it's not, there are brilliant people working at Google, especially Chelsea office, yay. They just, the management there, it really is the old Microsoft poster of the department heads with guns pointed at each other. Because it's just, they're too damn big.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Microsoft, though. First of all, I think the issue is they don't necessarily own the core technology. And as time goes on, I don't think they're going to be able to pull the moves they could have pulled, say, when Sam got fired.
That was a vacation.
And the problem is so, if OpenAI is building the core technology that Microsoft is creating all of their stuff on top of, well, OpenAI doesn't seem like a particularly stable company. I mean, they're coming out of the woodwork now after ScarJo is going after OpenAI. Like, this may actually go somewhere. There's a group of actors that have formed some sort of association, and they're all going to come together and hire a whole bunch of really expensive lawyers, and OpenAI is number one on their list of who they want to go after. And now they got ScarJo working with them.
Yeah, great choice of person to piss off. It could have been worse. It could have been Taylor. I mean, look at what's happening to Ticketmaster now.
But to put my industry hat on, I don't know what they're so concerned about because OpenAI clearly takes safety seriously.
Oh, no.
And as a result, has announced a brand new safety team.
Wait a minute. Avengers.
Who will be advising the board. Yeah.
Assemble.
Yeah, and the safety team is... checking my notes, run by Sam Altman and two other board members.
That's our Captain America. That's our Chris Hemsworth.
And the team will evaluate the further develop OpenAI's process and safeguards. And then that team, made up of board members, is going to present its findings to the OpenAI board. Then the board will decide on how to implement the team's recommendations. So there's the safety team at OpenAI. That's how that works. Incredible.
There's a few gators down here that are volunteering to watch your little dogs for you. They're very keen to help.
And this is, again, I got my industry hat on where I really think, this is why, Mike, this is why we need the federal government to kind of watch this and regulate this because you can't trust these companies, right? You can't trust these companies. So that's why the DHS, based on the Biden executive order, put together an AI safety panel. And it's led by, let me check my notes. Sam Altman.
God damn it.
Sam Altman. What? Yeah. Also, Satya Nadella is on here.
So we have Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth now, the Thor and Captain America together.
The CEO of NVIDIA is on here. Sundar Pichai from Google's on here.
I'm running out of Avengers. We have Hulk and Hawkeye.
I mean, I'm just scratching the surface, too. Dr. Lisa Su, the CEO of AMD.
Black Widow.
On there. Adam Slepsky, the CEO of Amazon Web Services.
Oh, that's Iron Man. That's Iron Man right there.
Chuck Robbins, the chair and CEO of Cisco, on here.
Jarvis.
Just go. And the Adobe CEO. The governor of Maryland is on here.
What?
Yeah.
How did he get in there?
CEO of IBM. Oh, good. This is good to see. The CEO of Occidental Petroleum is on here. So,
of course.
Got an oil on Biden's safety board for AI's got an oil guy. Oh yeah, this is good. This is really good. The CEO of Delta Airlines is on this board, and of course the CEO of Anthropic.
Wait, Delta Airlines?
Yep.
I like this actually. Maybe just once they'll run a flight on time.
There you go. There's your new artificial intelligence safety board. This is the very definition of the fox guarding the hen house. Literally.
This is something you would read in The Onion.
Yeah.
It's super. I
can already see the game too. On May 22nd, the House held a hearing on the use of AI in the U.S. security and defense. I got a link to YouTube if you want to watch it. It's 2 hours and 46 minutes of AI hysterics. And it's the same deal where they line up a bunch of industry folks. And I could summarize it for you. It's basically, look at the mistake we made with the internet.
Right.
We can't do that again. That's literally what they say in there. I'm not even paraphrasing. And then they also say at one point, we have to ask, how are we going to monitor AI? And then they specifically say, and how will employers monitor the things their staff are asking AI? And then they say, of course, AI must be safe and secure by design, but their version of safe and secure means they control and monitor it.
So somewhere in the NSA building it's Fort Meade, right?
Yeah.
3 middle managers just had an orgasmic moment and took a heart attack out of pure joy. The word monitor used so many times. They've got to be. So look, they're going to make the companies do their job for them, much like the telcos. That's awesome.
And it's fascinating that you can get 2 hours and 46 minutes and never actually articulate a specific threat.
Well, the threat is the glue on the pizza.
It's vagaries about disinformation and the other, like, because this was looking at it from a defense standpoint, a lot of talk about threat actors using AI, but never like any specifics about how, like, crappy chatbots and LLMs are going to help terrorists. But, very big concern.
Let me fry some good old Maryland bacon here.
All right, attaboy.
My bet is that the deal with the devil made here is that the government's going to get all the surveillance they want, which, duh, right? Would you like to see my shiny prism? But what these large corporations are going to get, I mean, you've got Northrop on here, so sweet contracts, that's nothing new. But they're going to get, quote, guardrails and regulations that effectively keep competitors out. So the big names in there now are going to remain the big names. It's going to just be increasingly hard to compete.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I've been looking at state regulation that's brewing in California. And California that matters a lot, right? Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
California is basically whole hog on monitoring and like checking everything you're doing and going full hog on safety board reviews at a certain like model size and computer performance size. And it's a lot of this is talking about when they're talking about like getting like all this monitoring and safety, they're talking about giant models with hardware that we can't even produce yet, but clearly they expect us to be able to produce in the next decade. And when I was at the Red Hat Summit, the position that Red Hat is clearly taking and building for is a future of a lot of little LLMs. Purpose-built LLMs for your HR team. Purpose-built LLM for your web support chat. Really specific little things that train on your data, that run on your hardware or on, some cloud provider. And not like a world where everybody just has an API key to OpenAI. And I don't know if Red Hat's right on this bet, but they're updating their OpenShift platform and their Podman desktop application, and they're introducing entire new ways to train and modify LLMs, and they're coming up with all of this stuff that they introduced because they see a future of small LLMs and not these giant ones. And maybe there's hope there because a lot of those are open source.
Yeah. I mean, we should move on because I know folks are getting antsy with the AI topic in general. But this is strange, right? We have as our next story related to this, and I think it's tangentially related. Elon Musk just raised $6 billion with a B, right?
Yeah.
Bennies. Yeah. To fund his XAI, right? So because he's pissed off at Captain America, i.e. Captain Altman, with reasons, and he's Elon Musk, and you know how it is. You gotta give the king some treasure.
He's also doing a shakedown of Tesla shareholders. So because remember he got screwed recently on his payout,
the Chancery Court,
right? If he doesn't get a certain percent ownership, he doesn't feel safe building AI technology at Tesla.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have bought Twitter.
So this is sort of his I think this is his side pivot to kind of put some wood behind that arrow as well.
Well, this is his way to get even with OpenAI and to save his Twitter, now X investment. But the valuation he put on it is $18 billion.
Yeah.
Like we said last week, these guys they're writing some crazy valuations, some crazy expectations for themselves. What if they don't make it to the end zone?
Yeah.
It'd be catastrophic.
Well, it's funny because this week alone, I have heard multiple pundits and I've seen people write and make the analogy that AI is just like the internet. And, the first year we launched the internet, we didn't really see much happen. But then, you look at where we're at today and it's clear that the internet changed everything. And that's where we're at with AI. It's the same thing that the people in that congressional hearing were saying, AI is like the internet. And we made a mistake by not controlling the internet and censoring it enough. They're making the internet analogy, and so are the pump guys on Wall Street. They're making the internet analogy. That seems to be the line everybody's giving. But yet, we look at things like Recall, and a developer was able to get Recall working on his ARM system with no MPU at all. This whole idea about, we've built in MPUs and we've built in Recall, and it's all working together, hardware and software. Well, yeah, you need the MPU for a couple of features. A couple of, some things don't work, but the core functionality works without any MPU. This whole thing's kind of smoke and mirrors. We're just talking about LLMs, and we're talking about, something that can run on CPU or some functions run on the MPU, but it's all just silly. It's all going to be a massive resource hog. Anyway, I know.
Yeah, the MPU thing, I think that's a whole show, right? Like, what makes an MPU, right? There's, we should leave it there because we should jump into the MPU thing in a week or two, though, because that's a whole boondoggle.
I guess for the last few weeks I've been making this maybe you can track it, man. My question to the audience was hey, is this just like a fake it till you make it, but they're actually going to make it kind of thing? And now we're 3-4 weeks past that, and I'm this is the .com bubble all over again is what we're watching here, and they need something to perform desperately, so they're all just kind of believing in this self-told story. And the investors need Elon to say it's worth $18 billion, right? And the investors, by giving $6 billion to him, they're trying to validate the entire marketplace, right? That's part. They have their own reasons for investing that aren't actually because of the technology.
Right. They need a return on their capital.
But by investing, they give legitimacy to this market. You see what I'm saying? Because by investing $6 billion, it's like a signal to other investors that we're bullish and we believe this is a real market. They're self-creating the story, but it's just a bubble.
Well, the problem is that these things are so expensive to build and run that they actually do need a ton of money to do it. 18 billion? I don't know. What does winning look like?
I don't know.
I'm struggling with, ChatGPT is certainly helpful. Google AI is fine. It's pretty good at proofreading Google Docs and some other things. Microsoft, I feel like I keep coming back to it. I feel like Microsoft has the smartest strategy here where they're going to be the middleman in all this. They're going to be the AWS of, well, I'm sure they prefer I just say Azure, right? They're going to be the Azure provider for you to develop your little custom built off of OpenAI technology bot or whatever for your enterprise. Because I just can't see, and I'm just making up a name here, right? But I just can't see H&R Block wanting to use a public cloud AI with people's tax information. Or, down here we have a large medical consortium called Baycare Medical Group. They have serious compliance concerns. I don't, they're going to want their own, right? They're going to want to put it at least behind a firewall.
Yeah.
And if not, completely on-prem. So
I'll tell you what it does mean. What has shifted is the ESG, the environmental, social, and governance ETFs are tanking. They're getting liquidated because now it's spend on data centers, and there's nothing green about data centers. And so now the entire mentality in the last 6 months around ESGs, or really I guess it's been 9 months now, has completely shifted. And the ESG funds are basically getting liquidated, and anything that's spent on data center and GPUs is getting funded. It's so cyclical. It's wild. It's just, and here we are, just trying, again, we find ourselves yet trying to navigate another set of crazy waves.
We're ramping back up. But you know what is a good way to spend capital?
Ask not what your podcast can boost for you, but what you can boost for your podcast.
Yes. Thank you, everybody who boosts in and helps Coder Radio stay on the air. And Eric from the R Podcast is our baller this week with 81,000 sats.
Hey, rich lobster!
Hello, Mike and Chris. I'll share my story on dealing with a format that will never die. Our team was cleaning out a SharePoint site, and my manager found a folder of Bayesian statistic training files. She couldn't figure out why it wouldn't open automatically like everything else. She'd been going through a lot of things like PowerPoints and whatnot. So I was called in. It turns out it was a flash.swf file.
That's a classic.
Oh my gosh. And with audio of her narrating each slide. I somehow installed the old Adobe Flash player on my MacBook M1 to play it, which he says felt a little dirty. Of course, that has no way to actually convert it to a modern format on there. My only hope of reconstructing this is to manually play the whole thing while recording in OBS. Like doing a screen cap. He says, are you kidding me? Maybe I can just put this in my performance review at the end of the year. Maybe they'll put this in the performance review. Yeah, you're going above and beyond there, Eric.
That's a lot. That's a lot, man.
With the M1, you could. I suppose you want if you want the audio and that sucks. That does suck. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of things like that, Mike, that are in formats. Like I've been thinking, about like video and stuff. Like, do I save it in H.265 now? When do I start? And am I ever going to need to go back and like retranscode the older stuff, like the 3GP stuff that I have? Like, I just don't know. Old formats. It's, in a way, it's more complicated than just having a photo album, I suppose. Adversary 17 comes in with 80,000 sats.
Hey, rich lobster!
He says you guys could take the summer off if you like. My membership will continue. Well, I think we'd pause the membership if we paused the show, but thank you. That's very sweet. Appreciate that a lot. But he says, here's some stats for Coder. You know what? You're a great booster there, Adversary 17. So boom, you also get a dragon.
I hoard that which your kind covets.
Aaron comes in with 45,000 sats. Not bad at all. Says, what's the worst thing about YouTube? It's the ads. Everyone I know is like me, and there's an ad that plays right in the middle of the YouTube video. I make an effort to not use the product when that happens. On podcasts, however, there's at least one, if not multiple things from ads I've paid for because I want to support the podcast host. YouTube is a spray and pray technique, while podcasting is where you find loyal customers for life. I can't stand YouTube. Love you guys, though. Signed up for a membership today. Hey, thank you, Aaron. Thank you. I appreciate that. And that is actually exactly how I feel, too.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Part of it is YouTube is seeing a massive influx of ads that are getting inserted into the video by the creator. And a lot of them are new at that. And they suck. And there's so many of the same things over and over again.
A lot of weird hard cuts, yeah.
Yeah, different shirt and different audio. And I find it frustrating too because that is some of that's being taken from the podcast market. Some of those advertisers have left the podcast market and have gone over to YouTube, where I don't think the YouTubers are doing as good of a job. I suppose that'd be my bias though, but that's just my opinion on it. Hybrid Sarcasm comes in with 20,500 sats. He says a summer hiatus would be sad for me, but a guest appearance for Mike on Lup would help. That's true. That's just something we should do.
Yeah.
Again, it's been like 200 years.
I do recall, yes. It was in the middle of the War of 1812, right?
I wonder, it depends, I don't know. I mean, it's like something like maybe like the cosmic desktop shipping, or there's some event we should just figure it out.
That would be perfect, because I plan on doing, spoilers, a whole review series of the cosmic desktop on here, so.
Yeah, something to think about. Thinking something to think about.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Hybrid. We're gonna noodle on that. Appreciate that. Tampa Tech Trekkie comes in with 20,000 sats.
I am programmed in multiple techniques.
This is to try to keep Chris from trying to take a summer break. I know it's a slow news season, but hey, Microsoft escorted Intel out of build. That has to be an interesting story. Oh, I meant to look that up.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Also, it's really not a slow news season this year.
It's just a lot of AI stuff.
Yeah, it's but we have WWDC is in what, 2 weeks?
I know, which is going to be a lot of AI stuff.
I'm hoping against hope that it's not.
We'll see. I'm hoping that I'm expecting it to be. So I'm hoping that we see somebody finally do it in a way that doesn't feel like you just slam AI into everything, right? Like maybe make it useful in some way. We'll see. I'm not saying that's likely the outcome, but I'm hopeful. I think I should live stream that, but I don't know if that'd be useful because I don't have video production capabilities at the moment. So, but I've been debating.
I don't know. Like, plus the last couple, they've done so much like consumery stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay. The things I'm looking for are, as always, fix Xcode because, god damn it. But I'm sort of hoping that there's a better story for Swift UI. It's getting there, and I know we don't talk about it a lot on the show, and I don't really use it that much. But last time I had to use it was only a few months ago, and it was still dropping back to UI kit quite a lot. So I don't know. I just. And maybe a little bit of love for the Mac. Maybe, please.
I just saw a rumor no new studio is coming at WWDC.
Son of a bitch.
Just a rumor. But
what about the iMac Pro? Huh? Hey. No?
Yeah.
Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
It's going to be the AI Mac Pro now, my friend.
That's so hateful.
Oh my God, watch them do that.
Why would you even say that? Federici's shirt just unbuttoned twice, and he's like, yes.
It's introducing the AI Mac. Oh man, I think we'll see. I think it's going to be a lot of that. You're right. So I think WWDC is on Monday. We're now live on Tuesdays. So you and I could, just watch it on our own, and then we'll have, if that's true, we'll have like time to catch the State of the Union, have time to read some of the reactions. So that might actually
some of the docs.
Yeah. So we might be able to come in Tuesday with quite a bit. So they almost always do it on a show day, and we have to just do our immediate reaction, but actually have a few hours to process it could be a good thing. If that's true. I just looked it up, and I think it was like on a Monday, but I don't know. It all happens so fast. All right, rounding out, Kospilin comes in with 2,100 sats. He says, I wasn't able to stream. I don't know what wrong, so he's sending a few sats along. Thank you, Kos. Appreciate that. Listener Jeff comes in with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sats. Spaceballs boost.
So the combination is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He says, I can just strap something to my face to play a video game without AI BS, and can I? And without creepy Facebook data collection. Come on, Valve, let's get an updated index already. That, I think, is my biggest hesitation from going whole hog on VR, is the meta stuff. Thankfully, Zuck's on a reputation rehab, and is open sourcing LLM, has made their Horizon OS an open platform. So, it's starting to get easier to like what they're doing, but I'm still really hesitant because it's, I don't know if you know this, but Meta used to be Facebook. So, you gotta hit the if you knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. Watsy, a.k.a. Ryan, comes in with 10,000 sats. Says, I have fiber to the home, but only 250 megabits down, 25 up. It's 100 AUD. 250 for $100 is not bad for around these parts. I get like 180 on my Starlink at home, and I'm paying more than 100. But I imagine with fiber, I would have to imagine your latency is pretty good. Like I have to imagine it's a pretty solid 250 megabits down. I don't know, around $100. I'm sure it's not quite with the exchange rate, but somewhere around there. It seems kind of expensive for 250 megabits. I got to be honest. For wired 250.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't want to mention what I get in the price. So sorry.
Hamato comes in with 9,001 sats.
It's over 9,000!
I'm not a professional StarCrafter, but here in the Paris region, I get 5 gigabits down. 700 up, megabits up for 40 euros. 40. Which in US dollars is probably like $35 a month. I don't think. I keep eyeing the symmetric 8 gigabit option or gigabyte option, but that's 60, and it's really more than I need. Oh, man. 8 gigabits. Gigabytes? Is it gigabytes?
That's so much bandwidth.
Can't even imagine. Enjoy the show. And this is an ISO boost.
Ooh.
If you need nightmare fuel. Okay. I don't.
If you need nice
I don't. But thank you.
Boost!
Crashmaster comes in with a row of ducks. 2,222 sats. Says great episode. Thank you, Crashmaster. Sumrock comes in with 10,000 sats. Woo, watch out. Here's my damn vote to the whole summer without a delicious tech bacon. That's true. Who would serve up the bacon? What a terrible summer that would be. Thank you, Sumrock. Nice to hear from you. PC Nullref comes in with 5,000 sats and says, Misa Boost.
You's a boost! That's a bomba!
Drew, will you please clip that for me? Thank you.
God damn it.
Now we're going to have a Misa Boost. 5,000 sats is officially the Misa Boost. There you go. T. Bonia Barra comes in with 10,000 sats. They say, only you can't take the summer off, but here, I got some hot takes. Between Babylon 5 and Deep Space Nine, he says Babylon 5 wins. Overall, Deep Space Nine has a very supportive universe, but Babylon 5, after Season 1, has prior lovey-dovey builds and develops characters. Yeah, I do agree. I do think Babylon 5 might have stronger character development.
All right, so spoilers for a show from the 90s, but mild ones. I see his point only because, especially with the Centauri, what happens to, I forgot his name, but, the Centauri ambassador who becomes a more significant leader and bad things happen to his planet. Malari. That war and just his whole reaction to it fell, even though the effects were complete garbage and it's like you don't really see a lot of it. It felt more like a realistic conflict where like he's really struggling in his position as their leader. DS9 I think does a good job, but it does have a lot of that Star Trek idealism baggage that, although there's some dark stuff in DS9 too. Can't we just love them all?
I think so.
Yeah.
BOOST!
DG at PTC comes in with 5,000 sats. Says, sorry for the low boost, guys, last week, but I think you nailed it with the AI story. Didn't feel like there was much to add. On to that point, even just kind of hearing you say, yeah, you're on the right track or not is helpful for us to kind of help get our bearing. He goes on to say, seeing more Google AI insanity on Twitter this week reminded me of the point Chris made earlier. The biggest LLMs seem to produce the craziest hallucinations. No doubt Google has the largest data set feeding their AI, and some of those results are just wild. Yeah.
I wonder how true that is, though. How true is it that they have the largest data set? In theory, they should have a ton of search data, but why even fool around with Reddit?
It's like what happened when they went with super woke image results and stuff. Like they over optimize.
You mean Nazis of African descent?
Yeah. They over optimize, and like in this case, they over optimize for Reddit, and they seem to not be able to get that balance right. And then also they clearly can't distinguish great information from bad information, and now their solution seems to be they're just going to go manually purge crazy results for a while.
That seems very cost prohibitive, but okay.
I know. You would think, though, they should have the largest data, but we just don't really know. We don't. Brent Canary comes in with 4,200 sats. This is happy I found this podcast. I'm in the middle of upgrading a legacy Rails app.
Godspeed.
And dealing with a decent amount of JavaScript and a ton of jQuery compiled with Sprockets. I'm currently at 5.2 and about to update to 6.0, and the Sprockets jQuery upgrade is the hairiest, especially given CSP restrictions.
That is full of suck.
Yes.
I just recently did that. Actually, I see that's the show you're writing in for 563. Mike's no good, very bad Rails update. Yeah, there's no way around it. You're just going to have to whack-a-mole the issues as they come up, and it's really, good luck.
Yeah, jeez. That does sound, and so tedious, too. Here, I'm pouring out some coffee for you, sir. He goes on to say, I'm just getting into LLMs and was stoked to run a particular one on my fancy new M3. Ooh. Only to discover it was written for CUDA only.
Yeah.
Yep. He goes on to say, I found another open source project that has kind of an ORM layer to select between CUDA, Metal, and others. I'm looking to using coding-specific LLMs to help me create something like for the CUDA-only software, but something I can run on mine. The situation must happen a lot. Yes, it does. I'm surprised there isn't a standard design pattern for tools like this. Well, I think you're onto something here with this. I think, Brent, the what did you call it? The ORM layer? This has to be the way things go. Is some sort of middle API layer that does the optimization for your hardware, like a DirectX, like an OpenGL, like a Vulkan, right? We've got it, and it's something that's not CUDA. Zuda, actually, remember we talked about Zuda, that people are continuing to submit patches to Zuda, which works on Arc and AMD. But
I mean, I can't see NVIDIA not doing everything they can to possibly prevent something like that. Yeah, basically, I see where he's going with ORM, but you're really talking about almost like a wine, right? A translation layer to translate
maybe
CUDA APIs into, I guess in this case, it would be Metal if you're on M3. But because that's what wine does, right? It takes DirectX calls and translates them into the relevant OpenGL or whatever calls for your system.
Yeah, I really hope we see some positive development here, but I don't know. If anybody out there sees something, please do send it in.
Well, I mean, if anyone, although I know I'm going to be called an Apple fanboy again, but Rosetta 2 is really good.
Yeah?
If anyone is close to doing this, I kind of think it's Apple. Also, all right, Chris, you'll have to forgive me.
Okay.
Bless me, Fisher, for I have sinned.
What is it, my son?
I may have watched 4 hours of Linus Tech Tips yesterday.
I noticed you tweeted, and I'm like, he's watching Linus Tech Tips. And now it's going to be in your YouTube feed forever.
I was actually enjoying it because he was restoring old machines, and I like old stuff. We're talking like VG, stuff from the 90s. He found one of those, do you remember those horrible VGA switches?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clunk.
Clunk, yeah. But then he got Apple stuff. And I don't know if the man just like hates Apple or doesn't know how they work. It was a pretty shabby review, and it was of a relatively modern like iMac. It was not the Pro, but one of the silver ones before the weird pastel colored ones. I'm like, that's not what it's for. Like you're not gaming. You know what I mean? You're not playing I don't know, whatever, Call of Duty. I don't remember some shooter he was trying to load up. It just yeah. And then I stumbled upon that 2 Linux series that they had done, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I got
So the command line is not your friend. Got it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's okay, but hey, we love Windows gamers too, and I was also pissed off at how little he pays for his Windows gaming PCs. When I tangent, I had to physically repair the keyboard on my MacBook Pro last night.
Oh,
which
really?
is why I was watching Linus Tech Tips for 4 hours. Because I got a quote from the Apple support app, and they're like, "Oh, well, we can't do that. We have to replace the whole chassis." I'm like, for like 2 stuck keys that probably just have like crumbs or cat hair in them.
Did they give you a price?
They did.
Was it more than $800?
It was less, but it was hundreds, and I'm like, there's no way that's.
I've seen a quote for $800 to do that job from them once.
Oh, and they asked me like 15 times, am I sure I didn't just spill something on it in the chat? I'm like, I would just tell you. I have the accidental damage coverage.
Did you ask them, are you a listener of the show?
No, God, if they did that, they'd be like, you just got to buy a new one. So I have my little handy-dandy kit. I popped off the 2 keycaps. One, sure enough, what was underneath there? Crumb. It looked like a stale bagel crumb. So I just gently, with my little brush, brushed that out, right? The other one was the space bar, which is a little more tricky. That one,
I bet,
took me the majority of the time. It was crumbs. And somehow, so I don't know if anybody's opened up a MacBook keyboard, but the space bar has 2 little rods. They're like,
yeah,
okay. Cat hair was wrapped around the area where the rod should, like, they go up and down, right? Almost like a seesaw.
Of course. Yeah.
It just wrapped around it. I'm like, well, that probably is why it stuck. So I popped it off. I cleaned it off very gently with no liquids, and there was no beverages near the computer. I know enough that when I open one up, I keep it, keep the Hendrix away. I got it back. It took me, because I watched a bunch of videos on it first. The actual labor was like 30 minutes. but the research and making sure, like, I was very concerned about the way I took off the space bar because there was a bunch of warnings that you can permanently break it.
Yeah.
And I was not going to give these dudes $500 to replace my keyboard. So that's a rough estimate, right? Sure enough, I'm up and running.
Hey-oh,
So goes to tell you, if you have a little bit of patience and some, manual dexterity, you can save a lot of money. $500 is a lot of money, right? I think it was like four something.
Yeah, I've watched the videos on that keyboard, and I've seen the spacebar. Seems like it is the trickiest. That's the hard one. It looks like.
Also, the switches used on this $5,000 laptop are shit. I mean, it's kind of shameful. My HP Dev 1 has better switches, and that thing was what, $1,200. So anyway, rant over. Sorry.
Southern Fried Sassafras rounds us out with 5,000 sats.
But that's not possible. Nothing can do that.
He says your outrage bait worked as I'm boosting to say don't take the summer off.
Yes.
Lack of boost does not. Lack of support make. I'm a party member as I don't have time to boost the show every week. I'll listen every week regardless, though. Even if the show became my weekly sci-fi fantasy television and book talk show. Well, you never know. Also, shout out to Open Source Accountant who signed up for Coder QA and The Signal, and also boosted in this week with 500 sats. We thank everybody who boosted in. We had a great showing. We have the 2,000 sat cutoff for what we read on air, but we had 18 boosters in total, and we stacked a very handsome-looking stack of 323,102 sats.
Winner. It really whips the llama's ass.
Thank you, everybody. That's pretty great. If you'd like to support the show with a boost, go try it out with a new podcast app. Or you can boost from Fountain FM's website. Just go search for Coder Radio on there. And you just need a Lightning app like Strike or Cash or whatever you use. You don't have to switch podcast apps. But if you're ready to try a new podcast app and get some of the new features, like you get release within 90 seconds when we post the episode, transcripts and chapters, and a lot more that's coming, including live stream support down the road for Coder Radio, and lots of other shows now. 20,000 other podcasts also now using these features. So it's really grown since we've started. I think there was around 4,000, 7,000 when we started talking about this, and now it's 20,000 podcasts. You can get a new podcast app at newpodcastapps.com.
That escalated quickly.
It did. It's a really growing ecosystem. It's a great way to kind of try out something brand new that's coming to independent media and support the show with a boost.
Honestly, the Fountain app, if you're on iOS, I haven't looked at it on Android. It's actually pretty nice too. So.
Oh, they've been working so hard on Fountain. They've been working. I know.
I like it better than the Apple default. But you don't have to use the app too. You can use your Overcast if you're a hippie like me. Or is Pocket Cast still around?
Yeah, still going.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's you don't hear about it as much these days.
Anymore,
yeah, I think Cast-O-Matic is really great on iOS too. But thank you to our members and thank you everybody who boosts in. We really appreciate it.
What? What is this?
All right, so we got some Star Trek stuff to talk about.
Well, first, I owe an apology to the Klingon Empire.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure you do. I can imagine.
So I was playing Star Trek Infinite. I think we talked about it a few months ago. It's I always forget the game it's based off of, but it's based off of, I think, Stellaris is how you say that. It's a space strategy game it's one of those games where you start playing and then your son is poking you, being like, "Dad, I have to go to school." Because that much time, I'm joking about that. That's not a real thing, but
it's very negatively reviewed on Steam right now.
Well, okay, it is very negatively reviewed. I have played this, and I dabbled in the game it's based off of. It is a grossly simplified version of the full game. So if you are a Stellar, I just don't know what the right way to say it, but.
Right.
If you're
I actually would probably prefer a simplified version, to tell you the truth.
Well, that's what it is for me, right? Because I'm more used to like Civ and RTSs. In fact, I used to have a great game with some of the guys at System 76 where Egypt reigned. Hail the Pharaoh. I foolishly, because I, of course, selected the Klingon faction, Qapla', thought it was a good idea to go after the Vulcans first. Well, they kicked my ass with facts and logic and an amazing amount of resources that I didn't think was possible to gather at that point.
They got a lot of allies.
They also do have a lot of pesky, meddling allies, including one Captain Jean-Luc Picard, the most British Frenchman in the fleet. I got whacked. I mean, not only did I not take Vulcan, I ended up having to surrender because they were about to take Kronos. So
Yeah, you don't want to give up the homeworld.
no. I will not be having any blood wine tonight, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be assassinated.
Damn, you were kind of making me want to try stuff. Okay, tell me it's a simplified version of the game it's based on. I'm like, heck yes.
It's way. So if you read some of the reviews, it's because it's way simplified.
I want to have like 2 beers in my evening. I don't do this often. I'm just like fantasizing. A beer or 2, you would eat dinner, watch a little TV, and then, go spend an hour or 2 playing a video game. I don't need it to be super deep.
It is that kind of thing, right? I would say it's more like 3 hours.
Okay, all right, okay. That's a bit much. It's a bit much.
No, I may be super bad at this game in some way, but I find it once you're losing, it's really hard to recover. Like one bad campaign, and yeah, it works fine on Mac. I did get it working on Proton on Pop OS, whatever the current Pop OS is on my Dev 1. Obviously, the better the machine you have, the better it looks.
Okay.
I'm going to assume it's made for Windows, so I'm going to assume it works for Windows. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the reviews are crap, so I would almost wait, Chris, because I bet they'll put it on sale.
Oh, smart. Okay, I'd like to get your reaction, and honestly, I'd like to get the audience's reaction if they want to boost in about this. We got a new show announced, and it's already off. It's already off on a bad start because the show is named after a video game that I liked quite a bit called Star Trek Starfleet Academy.
Oh, that's right.
Came out in '97, and it's got Kirk in it. It's got Sulu. Check out the voice actors; they're in there. It's a fun little game. And Paramount has announced Star Trek Starfleet Academy, the TV series. And get ready, everybody. It's another prequel. Produced by Paramount Plus, it will introduce us to a young group of cadets who came together to pursue a common dream of hope and optimism. Under a watchful and demanding eyes of their instructors, they'll discover what it takes to become Starfleet officers as they navigate blossoming friendships, explosive rivalries, and first loves.
Oh my God, that feels like it's some fanfic written by a college girl.
And it's going to be produced by Alex Kurtzman.
Well, it does have Holly Hunter.
Yep.
And she's a really good actress. I'm a big fan. I feel like she wouldn't sign up to something that was so openly terrible. So it can't be that bad. Maybe the press release was just a little... Doesn't it feel a little fanficky? I mean, like the...
since Star Trek 2, they've been trying... There have been people like Harv Bennett back then, all the way up to Star Trek 6, was trying to do a Starfleet Academy movie. Every movie after the motion picture, Harv Bennett pitched to be a Starfleet Academy movie to the point of where they said no and he resigned. Like around Star Trek 6.
Not only will I not do it, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no. He was campaigning for it, and they said no. Somebody had the right sense to say no. Somebody back then said, no, the fans don't want a prequel. They want to move things forward. But then now it's all we make. Enterprise is a prequel. Strange New Worlds is a prequel. Discovery is a prequel. The 2009 reboot is a prequel.
Well, Discovery is a prequel, kind of. Well, I guess it... Because they
started as.
Right.
Yeah, but they jumped to the future. Yeah, right. Yeah. Because they realized they had a terrible, horrible, awful premise, and so they needed to get as far away from as possible, and so they overcompensated by, spoiler alert, going to the future. I mean, it's been, and this is all of this has been under Kurtzman's purview, and I am so angry as a Star Trek fan because it's so clear what the fan base wants is to move things forward. Picard Season 3 showed us the way. You don't have to use those actors, but it showed us the way. You can build on what has come before, right? Instead, they have to keep wedging these stories in that try not to invalidate the stuff that the fan base is actually there for, that's brought everybody in, while trying to come up with new stuff somehow in this space that we've never heard of from people we've never known, but we're somehow some pivotal part of whatever. And it just it's all reverse fanfic writing.
Also, the galaxy is large. You could just write other stories that aren't connected at all.
Thank you.
I'm just saying, right?
Thank you. There's if I so one of the things I do as a fun little exercise to torture myself sometimes is when I watch TNG or Deep Space Nine or the original series, one of the sub processes when I'm watching is, hey, could this be spun off into its own story? And man, if that doesn't come up almost every episode. I was just watching the episode of Deep Space Nine where Worf joins the station and he's about to leave and Sisko talks him out of it and he's going to go join this syndicate that is in good standing with the Klingons and the Federation and is looking for new Starfleet officers, and it's considered far, far out, way out somewhere else in the universe. And both Sisko and Worf know about it. And it's like this mysterious stuff. And it gets mentioned one other time in the series. Like, go make it over there. Just go. And then you could bring in current actors if it seemed appropriate, if you want to, because it's in their universe. And somehow they just got all the way over there. Instead, we keep doing these stupid prequels. I don't want to watch a Starfleet Academy show. And so but as a Star Trek fan, lifelong Star Trek fan, I now have to either choose to watch this or I'm going to miss out on a Star Trek series. I don't know, which I might do. Okay.
So 2 things. One, I'm going to play Romulan's advocate here.
Okay.
But before I do that, I just want to tell you my beloved Battlestar, not a Battlestar, I'm sorry, Babylon 5 is probably getting rebooted.
You think so, huh? Is that a thing?
I've read a lot of rumors. It seems true. Which, that's going to be bad. Romulan's advocate, and then I'll tell you what I really think.
Yeah, okay.
This could be a young adult show, a la the late, great CW, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Which would make a lot of sense.
Not for me.
Right? Not for you, not for me. Well, we're old. We're dads.
But for kids, right, yeah. For an audience that doesn't actually exist, but that CW audience that somehow watches Paramount Plus and wants to watch Star Trek. Yeah.
You know, I frequently have teeny boppers bopping around my house because I have a 16-year-old. And I don't know. I think Star Trek to them is like, they see me watch it. That's like, that's old. And some of them are into like sci-fi and stuff like that. But like Star Trek? No.
My kids too. Same with my 3 kids.
Right.
They do like the cartoon.
Yeah. Below Decks. Lower decks. Yeah.
We're such old men.
We're
Lower Decks.
Stay around. So
they like the one with the drawings.
Did they use crayons or something for that, or did they do it all on an iPad?
But Paramount has canceled that because they need to clear room for this Starfleet Academy show.
Well, again, much like Google, if something's successful, Paramount will shoot it in the face.
Yeah,
but it could be right, like a coming of age story, like a young. I'm taking people of a certain age back to elementary school or middle school here, but you had to read The Giver or The Hatchet or something like that, right? It's like there's all these coming of age stories of kids who don't know what they're doing, have to learn how to survive. Starfleet Academy could be that. And in the vein of everything that's ever been on the CW, right? Buffy, or if you're as old as me and Chris, it used to be called the Warner Brothers Network, WV. That would make sense. It's not for hardcore Star Trek fans. What I actually think is that it's going to be bad. And the reason they're doing a show about the Academy is because they're going to follow the pattern of basically like Harry Potter type British school stories.
Yeah. But with lots of like character development, just like Discovery. So they're going to take the winning recipe of Discovery and they're going to put it in a school.
So the problem with Star Trek is the point of it is the stars and the trekking, right? The adventure. With the only time I think it's worked where it's not about, exploring was DS9, but that was because they were literally on the border of another galaxy.
And they still ended up having to add the Defiant. Let's be real.
Well, they did have to add it, but they were effectively defending themselves, right? They were an outpost fighting a war.
Yeah, no,
that's
a good story. From like a story writing standpoint, they did add the Defiant just to change it up.
Well, it was getting how many emotional conversations can you have at Quark's bar before Quark says, "All right, you can't come here anymore. If you keep Worf, stop throwing my bottles." Right? Like it's fine, Chris. We just have to remember that we're old.
Yeah, it's not. You're right. It's not going to be for us. Maybe there's somebody out there that is excited about it. I don't know. I don't think there is. I
foolishly made a comment on a Star Trek subreddit about how stupid, spoilers for Discovery, although if you could even count this, how stupid the whole Burn plotline was because of the cause. And I got roasted by what I can only imagine our Gen Z kids.
Yeah, there's people that like it. I mean,
there's people that like that. Like, I think it's this is a long cancelable conversation, but I also think that like our generation they're different now. They're more into like the personal development and less into the like I think you like me like the grandeur of the idea of exploring the cosmos or the war with the Romulans, the war with the Dominion, stuff like that, like the big stories.
Yes.
Yeah. They're more like emotional growth and going to therapy.
I agree, but it's okay, this is it. Then we'll wrap it up. It's spoon-fed. So in Discovery, what's the name of the helm officer? What's the name of the ops officer, the one that sits next to them?
Reese is the ops officer, I believe.
Reese is, I think that might be Reese. He might be one of them.
Yep.
Yeah, they'll do this phony character development, and then they'll spoon feed it to you like it's great character development. Like, for example, Burnham meets Book in one moment, and they can't stand each other, and then fast forward 2 seconds later, now we're supposed to believe that they have this deep, loving connection, and they've been together. And even all the way through season 5 now, they're still playing on this relationship, and I have no connection for it. They never actually spent the time. They never developed it. They never actually did. But then they just tell us they have, and they get Michael to cry. It's not actually very much character development, except for just a couple of characters.
Well, they do have character development, but then they get rid of them, right? Saru had tons of character development.
Yeah, well, it's because they can't keep the production rhythm going, so he went and got another job.
Well, all right. How about, and I know we need to end, but I am a Lorca fanboy. The relationship between Admiral Cordwell and Lorca, that's like an interesting thing where like she's like, something's wrong with you. It turns out I'm a different dude. Spoilers, but those were like Lorca in particular as a character I find fascinating because he's like, hey, the Klingons are like killing kids over here. Let's maybe not let them do that. Like, get off the therapy couch, get back to your station.
Hard pivot. No, it's hard pivot away from that. And
right. But Discovery, I thought the first season was actually really good. So,
it was interesting.
Yeah.
It's very different than it is now. Anyways, there's our Star Trek stuff. We got it out of our system.
Next week, Star Wars, because I don't know if you saw the announcement, but we'll save it for next week.
Oh, look at you.
They're canceling. We'll just tell them. They're canceling all the...
horrible teas.
Yeah, horrible teas. I failed. I took my shirt off completely. They're canceling all the sequels. They're not canon anymore, apparently.
You can do that? Wait, can Star Trek do that? Because I got a few ideas for the list.
Chris, you don't have enough memory on your computer to hold that.
I think a franchise should just lean into this idea because there's a whole lot of house cleaning I'd like to do. So you're telling me Jar Jar's not canon?
Oh, no. The prequels count. How dare you?
Oh.
What's he used to doing?
You're saying
the like everything with like Poe and...
With Rey
and what's his name? Adam, whatever. I don't remember the character.
All that stuff? They can just do that?
Now, my source for this information is Google AI, so who knows?
All right. Well, in the meantime, is there anywhere you'd like people to go find you?
Go to alice.dev or at Dumunuko on X, and also, if I can get my together, I will have something new to share in 2 weeks. Or 1 week.
I am Chris LAS over on Weapon X, of course, chrislas.com if you want to try the Noster thing, and I encourage you to join us. We do the show Tuesdays at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, over at coder.show/live. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this week's episode. If you'd like to go get some of the links we have for the things we talked about, those are at coder.show/572. You'll find our subscribe link over there, and don't forget you could become a member by going to coder.show/membership. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. See you right back here next week.